Good afternoon. This is CloudChartist with your weekly Ichimoku wrap for the week ending April 1st, April Fool's Day, my birthday actually. It's Sunday night, Sunday night, April 3rd. I'm going to try not to be distracted by a couple of environmental factors going on here at my house, which are my neighbor's dog is barking incessantly. Oh, he just stopped for a second. And also my other neighbors on the other side are attempting to mow their lawn, but their lawnmower is not functioning correctly. So every time they start it, it stalls out. So I'm hoping that they will fail in their mission and they'll have to, I don't know, save it for another day. And then if they don't mow their lawn, maybe the dog will stop barking also. So we'll see what happens, but maybe you can't hear all of these things anyway, so I'm going to hope that's the case. So let's get started. We're looking at the CL chart here. I just happened to start with CL rather than ES. I just had CL open, so we'll go with the CL for the moment. It's interesting. My recording software is turning colors for some reason. No idea what's going on here. All right, looking at CL, we see that crude was unable to hold the Kijun Sen here on the weekly time frame, and this is the continuous contract, by the way. I can't chart the current contract in the weekly time frame. There's not enough information to draw the Ichimoku correctly. But we did indeed sell off. We lost the support of the Kijun Sen, and we're headed back towards the Tenkan Sen. We're about 50% between the Kijun Sen and the Tenkan Sen. For those of you that have been following me for a while, you may remember that I like to sometimes fib the distance between the Kijun Sen and the Tenkan Sen if there's a range trade that's happening. This range is from 38.49 to 34.27, so $4 range. I'm just eyeballing that. That looks like about 50% to me. So we'll see what happens if crude continues to sell. I would expect that it will find support at that 34.27 level, the flat Tenkan Sen below, and we'll see what happens. If we do get some buying, we could find resistance when and if crude gets back up to the 38.49 level on the weekly time frame. Overall, this chart is still bearish as it's under the cloud. If we look at the shape of the cloud that's happening here, we know that it's sort of, there's a thin part right in this area that's around the end of May, beginning of June. If we do see upward momentum for CL, we could break through the cloud right in this area. That would be the most likely place for price to break through the cloud if we do see upside momentum. We could go up and then be rejected and continue to be forced down following the contour of the cloud as well. That's also a potential scenario. So keep that in mind. Well, let's move on. Let's go back to the ES. All right. So looking at the ES, we see that price is bullish. We are above the cloud, above the Tenkan Sen, above the Kijun Sen. This was a pretty swift move, so the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen are still under the cloud. They haven't gotten a chance to catch up with current price. We did sort of flag here after putting a potential reversal candle last week or 2 weeks ago. We did not confirm the reversal. We instead went higher. I went over those possibilities and potentialities last week when I did my video. The Chikou, this red line over here representing price action time shifted 26 periods into the past, is bullish. It's above the cloud, so there's nothing interfering with it. So there's no reason it can't go higher. I don't really have any particularly good way of predicting exactly how far price is going to go here, but I'll give you some factors we can look at. We can look at previous price action levels to see where price went in the past, and anybody can do that. Just look at these horizontal levels. This 2092, 2093 area looks pretty interesting. We have some other horizontal levels around 2073. I tend to look at other stuff like volume profile to find potential levels when Ichimoku is not particularly showing me anything. Another factor that we have here, though, that could bring price either sideways or down is we have a very thin flat cloud below. I've been mentioning this. We do also have a cloud twist coming up when the new weekly candle opens up. If we do get a reversal to the downside, this is a dangerous area around the 1975 area. Price could break through the cloud to the downside if we do find selling. If we do break through the cloud, we will have support at 1956.38 and also at 1934.75. Okay, that's about it for ES. Let's go look at the Russell. Russell made some, pardon my fibs there, the Russell made some excellent progress last week. You see that sort of breaking out from this bull flag type pattern. Came down, tested slightly below the Kijun Sen, and then held the Kijun Sen as support as it had in these last several candles after it put in a close over the Kijun Sen on February 29th. We do have a prior resistance support potentially that could turn resistance right here. You can see at, let's see, there were this close was 111.13. So around that 111.13, 111.12, 10 might as well, I shouldn't say 111, I should say 11.11, 11.13, 11.12, that area could be potential resistance. If we do break over that level, we also have the the Chikou right here, this red line representing price time shifted 26 periods into the past is coming smack dab into the bottom of this candle here. In fact, let's see what that close was. Yeah, exactly. That closes at 113. We close at 114, so we're slightly above, we're slightly into this candle here, but so we'll see what happens if we can make progress. Will be like actually in this candle. If we do make progress higher, the Chikou will be inside this candle. But we do have room to go all the way up to the cloud here, which is at, let's see, 1165.40. That's the next resistance button. So the Russell is still bearish under the cloud. You get that, right? But it did make some very good progress last week. It was leading for a couple days, and then NASDAQ began leading, and Russell got back a bit weaker again. Let's look at NASDAQ next. NASDAQ, unlike the Russell, is bullish. Put in a huge bullish candle last week after the week before putting in a potential reversal doji type candle last week. Burst forth, very bullish candle here. Into some prior resistance levels. You can see that just looking horizontally that this area was prior resistance around the 45.30 level. So as far as what happens next, there's no reason that I can see that the NASDAQ should not move higher. We have the Tenkan-sen down here in the cloud moving upwards, looking for a potential bull cross above the Kijun-sen here. We do have a rising cloud, which is good for price action moving higher, as opposed to that thin flat cloud that we had below the ES. So we're not yet overbought on RSI, so there's no reason that that NASDAQ shouldn't move higher. I wouldn't be surprised to see it move to this prior support resistance area around 46.08, thereabouts. All right, let's look at the Dow. I looked at the IBM chart the other day because I'm known to say that IBM is the fluffer of the Dow. It's real evident sometimes when they want the Dow to be higher, they buy a lot of IBM, and who knows who they are, but you know, I'm sure we all have our ideas who they are. Oh, pardon me, just having a little water. So the Dow is bullish and continues to remain in this bullish uptrend. It was not, last week's potential reversal candle was denied. We did put in a higher high and a higher low. We have the same condition as the ES with the flat cloud below. very flat, thin cloud coming up at the end of the month. So that's potentially treacherous area, both of these cloud twists here coming up. We do have obviously very obvious prior resistance in this 17,835 area, 17,840 thereabouts. You have all of these prior candles unable to get above that area. So we'll see if we can come up and test that area, and then we'll see what happens. That's fair, about 150 points above, thereabouts. That would be pretty easy to get up there and then see what happens. But overall, you know, bullish in all ways, Ichimoku. Just watch out for that flat cloud below. All right, I think I covered the indexes. Let's look at some metals. Look at some gold. Oops. Let's attempt to type correctly. Gold on the weekly time frame is a potential pullback to breakout pattern. What I mean by that is we had an existing uptrend, then we had some sideways flagging action, then we had some selling, and we came down and potentially came back to the Tenkan-sen and put in a bounce. We didn't make it all the way to the Tenkan-sen. That would be a perfect version of the pullback to breakout pattern. But what we really want to see is an upward pointing Tenkan-sen, and it would be pretty easy to see if this pattern works for a buy signal. If we got back down to the 1200, 1201 level, and we do catch a bounce, that would be confirmation that the pullback to breakout pattern is working. If we do lose that 1201.60 level, then we could come back down and test the cloud at 1190. If we continue to sell below that, we could come down and test the Kijun-sen inside the cloud at 1166.60. We do obviously have prior resistance in this area, 1261.60, thereabouts, 1260. Yeah, let's call it, let me look at where the cloud was. Yeah, 1261.50, obvious resistance. Also, if we look at the Chicow, this red line over here representing price time shifted 26 periods into the past, I'm going to keep saying that and drill it into your head, so you'll automatically say it into yourself. The Chicow represents price time shifted 26 periods into the past. So in this case, the Chicow is representing price time shifted 26 weeks into the past, because we're looking at the weekly time frame. All right, so we see the Chicow is inside the cloud, so the Chicow is in neutral territory. If we do get a burst higher for gold, then the Chicow is going to run into resistance at the top of the cloud at 1238.60. So that's another area that we can expect some potential resistance. And you can see that was also potential resistance for these candles here before we broke above and reversed. If for some reason we find selling that goes below the cloud, there is a potential that the Chicow could come underneath the cloud and then find resistance at the bottom of the cloud, which would signal a potential down move, which is in the neighborhood of and would be also displayed by the loss of the Tenkan-sen here. So keep an eye on the Tenkan-sen and where the Chicow is. If we do lose the Tenkan-sen, could purport, you know, lower to the top of the cloud and then to the Kijun-sen. There's also this prior support resistance level here around 1175 to keep an eye on as well. All right, let's take a look at silver. Silver is bearish underneath the cloud. It temporarily lost that important $15 level, but we did put in a bounce and put in a close above the Kijun-sen, which was kind of important. A close below the Kijun-sen would have been full bear mode. The Chicow does have support of the Tenkan-sen still, although it's under this candle. So if we get a bounce higher, we'll need to really get over this 1525 level, and then if we do, the Chicow should be able to go higher towards this 1584 Kijun-sen level here. But let's look at current price action rather than the Chicow. So we're kind of stuck in a tight range here for silver, as long as we hold the Kijun Sen level at 14.99, so 15. Let's call it the $15 level. As long as we hold $15, then the silver is going to find resistance at 15.18.5, and then it's going to find resistance at the cloud. And this week the cloud is approximately 15.42. If we get above the 15.42, 15.43 area, then price could be back into neutral territory and could go as high as the top of the cloud here, which is 16.20. I do not expect that to happen anytime soon, so we'll see. But silver is bearish, and if it loses the $15 level, it will be in full bear mode. All right, let's look at some mysterious evil treasury bonds and notes. This is the weekly chart for ZB. Bonds and notes both caught a pretty monstrous bid last week after Janet Yellen acted like she was not planning on raising rates anytime soon. It was interesting to see bonds and notes being bid at the same time as the ES. Correlations were all over the place, but the one correlation that was holding up pretty well last week was the correlation between the Bund and U.S. Treasuries. That wasn't necessarily working that great prior to this. You know, it used to be sort of dependable, and then it sort of got a little sketchy. But last week the Bund seemed to be leading U.S. Treasuries, or vice versa. So what we have moving forward is potential resistance at this 165.20 Tenkan-sen above, and that would be an area that I would be looking to sell ZB if it does move higher. If it does move lower, then we have this potential support resistance level around 163.18, and then we have support at the Kijun Sen below at 161.03. But overall, bullish for ZB, the 30-year Treasury bond, especially bullish if it does get above the 165.20 level. So keeping an eye on that 165.20 level. Let's go to ZN. ZN, I did a little Twitter top call action on this chart because I have been trading ZN the week before, and I noticed that it had stopped. In midweek, I was trading ZN, and after that Janet Yellen thing, I noticed that it stopped midway between the Kijun Sen and the Tenkan-sen, and I figured that chances were really good that it would come up and test the Tenkan-sen. So I posted potential resistance at 130, 175, and indeed it came up and put in a high of 130, 170. So it missed that Tenkan-sen high by one tick. We have a close of 130, 150. So we did close below that area. So we'll see what happens this week. If we do manage to break higher, we will have to, that same number is the number to beat, the 130, 175 level. If we do find sellers, then we will be trading in this range between the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen, the Kijun-sen being down at 129.050. So I expect a range trade unless we are able to get back above that 130, 175 level. And let me just zoom out. The Chikou is above price action, and it is free to go higher. So just do keep an eye on that 175 level. If we do get above that 175 level, I would not want to be short. There's lots of other levels that could be tested above, like around this prior high of 131.055, for instance. All right, let's move along from treasuries. Let's check out, let's look at the dollar. Dollar was quite weak last week, and bear with me, you can probably see my rainbow spinner while my platform is temporarily frozen. anyway, I'll talk about the bigger picture until the smaller picture can come back to life. But so we see that after last week put in a green candle. I'm trying to hover around where last week's candle is, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. Last week put in a reversal lower, especially when we, that interest rate or assumption happened when Janet tended to come across as dovish for all intents and purposes. We see that we did find sellers coming in the dollar, although we did put in a little bit of a bottoming tail. So overall, the dollar is back in neutral territory. Oh, that's beautiful. Ooh, this is beautiful too. Jeez. Wow. My entire platform just fractured. That's pretty cool, right? Not very cool for getting this done though. All right, I'm going to pause the recording and see if I can get my platform to work again. Bear with me for a moment. Okay, I'm back. That worked actually well, and things seem to be working better here. So looking at the dollar, we see that we did close in neutral territory after putting in a bullish close before. So we have all the way down to the 92.64.5 level thereabouts to support price in the neutral territory. And if we want to break out and be bullish, we need to get back above 95.823, and do look out for the potential resistance of the Tenkan-sen above, which is bear cross below the Kijun-sen, we note. The Tenkan-sen is currently at 97.023, but it could open lower. In fact, it will most likely open lower to represent the downward momentum that we saw last week. Let's look at the Nikkei. Nikkei has been very interesting. The yen has been very interesting to watch lately. The Nikkei is had been trading in this range between the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen and the overall bearish chart. We see that it broke the important Tenkan-sen support of 16,378 and closed under the Tenkan-sen. So the Nikkei is now back to bearish in always Ichimoku. The Chikou also has lost the support of the cloud and has no support below here. So as far as the Nikkei goes, we can look for potential support down here around the 15,831 level, unless we can get back above the 16,378 level and get back into this trading range between the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen. If you want to be bullish, the Nikkei, we do have a arch-like shape of the cloud ahead. Moving my cursor too fast to get the crosshairs to move, but you can see that above, I'm sure, right up here. So if we do get a move to the upside, we could see the price following the contour of the cloud here. But, however, the Chikou, the red line representing price time shifted how many periods into the past? 26 weeks into the past. If we do get a bounce to the upside, the Chikou is going to run into the cloud and offer resistance. So next week, the Chikou is going to be over here, and the cloud is going to be at 16,993. So keep that level in mind if we do get a bounce on the Nikkei and you're trading it to the upside. All right, let's just take a look at some stuff that I haven't been looking at that much lately. Like, let's look at some live cattle. Live cattle put in a huge down move. I'm not sure if there was a contract change on that. So for some reason I thought there was. So if I'm incorrect and messing up because of that, I apologize. I don't trade this, but I've been charting it for a friend of mine. But anyway, live cattle really dumped last week. I heard some kvetching on Twitter about how live cattle dumped, but everybody's cheeseburgers and hamburger at the grocery store was still expensive. I'm not really sure it works like gas prices, although you know how gas prices work, right? Like crude goes up, gas prices go up instantly. Crude goes down, gas prices stay the same. That's just like, property taxes, right? All right, let's look at coffee. Coffee, you know, after putting in this big up move, put in some tweezer tops and reversed back down under the cloud, so back in bearish territory. Came down last week and tested the Tenkan Sen. Let's see, the Tenkan Sen was at 124.45, and we put in a low of 124.40. So very handy if you are trading coffee to have the Ichimoku chart. I wasn't, unfortunately. I haven't been trading coffee lately. I should. I miss it. We do have a long-legged spinning top doji here, so it's possible that we will get, once again, another reversal to the upside with coffee. That's what this candle potentially indicates, especially after testing this nice support down here. And we do have the Kijun Sen offering sort of very close support here, and we do also have to make note of the Tenkan Sen is crossed over the Kijun Sen, so that's a bull cross. Bull crosses aren't that meaningful under the cloud, but there is sort of a fortress of support around this area. So if we do get a reversal to the upside, which we would need to see a higher high and a higher low, that might mean a break back into the cloud, which would be a break back into neutral territory, or we could find resistance at the top of the cloud. I wouldn't be surprised if I had to make a prediction. Hate to make predictions, but that I wouldn't be surprised if we did get a break to the upside that was rejected by the bottom of the cloud, which is located here at 129.29, and I think that we probably get an inside candle, maybe a doji in this area, maybe a candle that's around 127.50 to 129.29 thereabouts, something in this area. That would not surprise me, at least. So you get that if we trade down, we still have support at the Tenkan Sen and the Kijun Sen, and if we trade up, we have resistance at the cloud here, unless we can break back into it. All right, I hope you get that. Let's look at. I think that's. Oh, yeah. Let's look at the yen. Sorry, getting a little spacey here. Yen putting in a very nice bull flag here, bullish over the cloud. We did not manage to put in a higher high and a higher low last week over the week before, so this last week's candle did indeed act as a reversal candle, although it was an inside candle after this very bullish candle the week before. But this red candle from 2 weeks ago did act as a reversal candle because we did have a lower high and a lower low. So the yen is currently in the downtrend, despite how, on the weekly time frame, despite how strong it's been seeming intraday. So if we do continue downtrending for the yen, we do have support down here at the top of the cloud. That's at 872.75. Then if we move into the cloud, we have support at the Tenkan Sen below here at 86465. If we move below that, we have support down here at the Kijun Sen 8557. Even. If we want to just take note of the alternately, if we move higher, we can expect to find potential resistance when the Chikou, this red line here, runs into the top of the cloud, which is up here at approximately 90794. But looking at this overall chart, we see that we are bullish above the cloud, but we do have a gully here, for lack of a better term. An area that price can trade down into. We do have a cloud twist here in June where the yen could dump through the cloud. As long as the yen manages to hold the Tenkan Sen, it could ride the Tenkan Sen across this ditch to the other side and find cloud support again in August. So we will just have to wait and see what happens with the yen. With the Abe, central banks, etc., you really never know what they'll do to the yen. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Your attention span is probably waning like mine. Thank you for joining me for my weekly Ichimoku wrap-up. If you're interested in learning more about Ichimoku, you can check out my website for information about my chat room. That's at CloudChartist.com. You can follow me on Twitter for all sorts of free Ichimoku goodness at CloudChartist. And you can always email me if you have questions about my service or anything else, cloudchartist@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching, and good luck to you. Have a great trading week, and have a great rest of the evening.